Going to a 1v1 on Fayetteville Approach. This is Starcross Cup game from round 2. It is Cruzz versus Hon3ynuts.
That's it.
Cruzz playing his US forces against Hon3ynuts OKW. Cruzz going with an extra rear echelon troop squad. Probably wants a little extra capping power, which I think makes a lot of sense on this map because the way it's laid out, you just so naturally want to send squads to the flanks at the very beginning because these territories are so easy to take and so unusual to lose. It's basically just free resource income for the entirety of the game, and so being able to send a capping squad up there instead of a combat squad, send your riflemen straight to the middle and try and take as much of the flanks as possible with just a rear echelon troop squad, and of course you are going to maintain that for the whole game. I think this is one of the maps on which this opening is the most appealing. So it makes sense that Cruzz would do it. Meanwhile, over here, Hon3ynuts is going to force a retreat from that squad with the truck push. And Stern Pioneers are going to grab the fuel.
Cooper, prepare for orders.
And Hon3ynuts has gone with a 3 Folks Grenadier opening to Cruzz's rear echelons and double rifles.
Americans are making a push.
As far as commanders, Cruzz has access to airborne armor and infantry. If anybody remembers from the Fox-Fexen-Felta tournament last time he was on this map, he did play US forces, and he was up against, I can't remember who his opponent was, but he was up against OKW, and he chose Armor Company. And he made a bunch of M10s that game, and he lost pretty much all of them to Pumas. So what I'm wondering is if Cruzz is going to use the same strategy from that tournament, or if he's going to change things up a little bit and try airborne. I know for a fact that Cruzz likes airborne the best as far as viability. I think he thinks airborne is the best commander. But he was giving armor a shot for whatever reason. I don't know if that was influenced by the map, or if he just thought that it had certain features that were going to be particularly useful in his situation. I'm wondering if he's going to do the same thing here. SWS half-track pushing around the riflemen here are going to beat pushed away once it falls quite low. The riflemen in this engagement have lost a lot of health. Cruzz kind of falling behind in that engagement, whereas if you kind of look at the health bars over here on the right, they've barely even taken a scratch. Stern Pioneers taking a little bit of damage, but they're generally okay. And the SWS, however, has taken a lot of damage and will have to go disengage, and he's actually building his battle group headquarters over here now. Stern Pioneers in this building, acting as a deterrent to those rear echelon troops. And he's trying to close the gap a little bit. Kills one of them. He doesn't want the rear echelon troops to do a bunch of free damage to his battle group headquarters while it's under construction. He's trying to screen them away with the Stern Pioneers. This squad over here continues to fire. One rear echelon troop squad, however, doesn't look like it's really going to be enough to destroy this thing outright. And riflemen don't look like they can get in range. These 2 squads had to retreat. This one actually probably could have moved to support, but because there's Stern Pioneers there in green cover, can only do so much. The truck's brought down to half, and I don't know, I feel like if that rifle squad had moved to assist in this, they might have been able to destroy that. Then again, these Folks Grenadiers would have obviously been able to move to support in that. Meanwhile, riflemen are engaging Folks Grenadiers in red cover, dealing a ton of damage to them. I'm not even sure they're going to get away here. That was a very deep flank. Took a lot of damage in red cover. Retreating past that squad of riflemen, they take a little bit more damage, but I think they're going to be okay. Luckily for Hon3ynuts, Hon3ynuts has gone fortifications and fielded himself an MG34, which is making its way towards the center now. Riflemen in the building dealing damage to the Folks Grenadiers as well. A second MG34 also being fielded. And note the placement of the battle group headquarters. I really don't like it that much. It's kind of simultaneously forward enough to be in danger, but not forward enough to actually be useful, if that makes any sense. I mean, it's barely even outside of his base, yet Hon3ynuts could definitely place an AT gun somewhere in this area that would put that battle group headquarters in a lot of danger. He also needs to get it repaired.
Assembled and
That being said, his opponent has gone lieutenant, so captain is somewhat unlikely, unless, of course, he goes armor company. And the M20 is going to be here soon, which should come as no surprise, and Hon3ynuts just ticked up to 90 munitions now, so he should be able to get himself a Panzerschreck well in advance. And his manpower is looking okay, so he could be thinking about a Raket Morpher as well at this point in the game. String Pioneers take a lot of damage from those infantry. He should be able to heal up here without any manpower bleed, and he's actually gotten himself a third MG34. That's a pretty bold move. After a certain point, once you start spending a little too much manpower on machine guns, you risk them becoming a liability because you haven't spent that much manpower to defend them, and if you hand them over to your opponent's infantry, well, obviously that's extremely bad. Cruzz's M20 is here, and apparently that maneuver he just did perfectly flushed all of that stuff out of cover into the road. That was a very well executed little dance that M20 did to force them all out, which is kind of a quirk in the game's pathing. Honestly, I don't really think it should do that, but it does. M20 continues to engage the MG34, which is trying to retreat. Meanwhile, this lieutenant's taking quite a bit of damage from the MG at point-blank range, but it looks like they're going to get away as they round the corner. Grenade goes off, 2 men down, and the MG34 was successfully protected and recovered. All Folks Grenadiers appear to also still be alive, if only by a hair. Hon3ynuts hasn't lost any full squads despite coming quite close. Seems to be doing okay. This lieutenant also gets away with just a sliver remaining. And this MG34 over here gets flanked and will be forced to retreat. Doesn't look like Hon3ynuts is fielding a Raket Morpher, although he is bleeding quite a bit of manpower and reinforcements, so he doesn't actually have the resources to afford one. He is getting decent chunks of veterancy off that M20, though, every time he lands a hit, and Cruzz is fielding himself an ambulance now. And still no commander selection from Cruzz, but he does have 3 command points, so if he wants to get himself paratroopers, that's probably going to be his next purchase should he decide to go that route.
Squad numbers back to normal.
And once he has 4 command points, if he paradrops himself an AT gun, that battle group headquarters could potentially be in a lot of danger. It's already down to half, and for whatever reason, Hon3ynuts still hasn't repaired it. That reason probably being that he needs to utilize that Stern Pioneer squad to cap and fight. And those repairs aren't that urgent until Cruzz actually has a way to destroy the structure. MG34 retreats. Wow, that M20 got a pretty nice burst off on the Panzerschreck squad there, prompting a retreat before they could even get off a second shot. That's not one to risk. His only Panzerschreck squad is going to be some time before he can afford a second one with his current map control situation. Hi, Tightrope. Thank you for watching. It's my pleasure. These are just a few replays I found and thought might be fun to cast. Grenade going off on this machine gun, wipes the squad. He will be able to recover it. Didn't actually do any damage to the gun. So not all that expensive of a loss. Machine guns engaging. Those are your echelons to try to cap. Panzerschreck doing a decent job scaring the M20 away, and not a single... Oh no, I take that back. I was going to say none of the machine guns have any vet. This one does. Cruzz is clearly carefully managing his M20, making sure it never gets in the arc of fire of a vetted machine gun, since obviously those incendiary rounds can just shred it so fast. But Hon3ynuts is currently triple capped and he needs to get VPs under control. VPs are honestly the most important resources OKW. Taking other things are obviously important, but if an OKW player maintains control of at least 1 victory point for the entire game, I think their chances of victory are very high. Uh-oh.
Under attack! Enemies
This could be the first wipe of the game. What was that squad doing so extended, so wounded? I'm pretty sure that was the first wipe of the game, other than machine guns getting defrewed. They've all since been recovered. Now it's not been recovered, so I guess that counts as the second wipe since that's probably going to escape. Hon3ynuts has now lost 2 full squads, 1 machine gun and his Sturm Pioneers, and that's quite an expense. His tier 4 structure has completed, however, over here on the right side. And Cruzz still has not picked a commander. It's up to 6 command points, which means he'll have access to the M10 after 1 more, if he wanted to field one of those for whatever reason. Although he has gone major, so I find that pretty unlikely. Maybe a time on target artillery from infantry company. He does have quite a bit of munitions. He hasn't actually purchased himself any upgrades, but he has been throwing a lot of grenades, so I don't know. I think airborne would be a good choice, but I also think he probably would have picked that by now if he were going to, so I guess I'm not entirely sure. Hon3ynuts is feeling himself some overslot now, which will give him some much needed relief from all of these infantry squads that he's currently contending with. Shrek is now vet 4, dealing quite a bit of damage to the M20 there, which is currently crewed by rear echelon troops. He's gotten the vehicle crew out to try to apply a little bit of pressure to this battle group headquarters, but he is suppressed by the MG over here. It's rather unlikely that he's going to be able to destroy that if he doesn't bring something else to the table. And the overs are here, and once they're positioned in green cover, they're going to be very deadly. We have 1 kill already, and it's only going to continue from there. Overs moving up to continue to engage with Cruzz's Sherman is already here.
Incoming fire! Crew taking fire! Enemy movement! On the flank!
Sherman going in, chasing the wounded squads on the retreat. Everything's going to be very clumped in Hon3ynuts' base. He really has no solution to this at all. Black base defense is doing a decent amount of damage there. That was actually a lot less catastrophic than I thought it was going to be. Although he did lose an MG34 during that. And it looks like his battle group headquarters may go down in the very near future. Panzerschreck moves up to push away the M20. But it's just 1 hit from death. Desperately trying to screen with these overs, but there's just way too many riflemen to chew through. Grenade goes out, and there they go. Panzerschreck squad also taking way too much damage. And there it goes.
Contact! Infantry!
The Kettenwerfer tries to screen the Sherman away with Volksgrenadier support. And it looks like he was successful for now, but again, he has no Stern Pioneers. He just lost a bunch of full squads, barely able to afford to keep his current units alive. Meanwhile, Cruzz is getting himself a second Sherman and still has an extremely healthy force of infantry at his disposal. Hon3ynuts really can't get himself a Pack 43 to protect this, because getting himself Stern Pioneers would already be an expense that he can't afford. Apparently he thinks that Obersoldaten are a more reasonable purchase. He's probably right. At least Obersoldaten would be able to somewhat contend with this infantry. Stern Pioneers would probably just be cannon fodder at this point, but he really needs repairs. He's in a pretty impossible situation here. I don't know what he's going to do.
Capture completed!
Jagdpanzer's pretty good against an IS-2.
Leave out! Get out! Achtung! Supply half-track destroyed.
For its
Dispatching
cost.
alternate command truck now.
Like if you had two Jagdpanzers against one IS-2, you'd probably be able to kill it like easily.
Flanking attack!
Americans just eliminated
MG-34 just got destroyed. And there goes the battle group headquarters. Ambulance moving up with major support. And it doesn't matter. Hon3ynuts is throwing GG, and that is the game.
Our supply lines have been
Hon3ynuts will surrender. Well played.